Caleb Smith, 17 years old. Antoine Brown, 15 years old. Clifford Swan, 13 years old. Trinae Thompson, 8 years old. Xavier Usanga, 7 years old. 163 is the number. 163 is the number of children that have been killed this year in 2021. I'm all about saying people's names that have been unjustifiably killed by police. I'm all about trying to figure out how we can stop, police violence if anytime something goes south. I'm all about calling out the bad cops. I'm all about trying to have a reform in police when it's needed. But what I'm not about brushing over all of these kids that were killed by the senseless act of gun violence that's going on in our country right now. This is not a gun violence propaganda post. This is not a, hey, how can we get guns off the street post? This is a post that needs to specifically address the issues that are going on in our communities. We like to always talk about how there's this, epidemic of police violence at a rampant rate. And don't get me wrong, we have made some mistakes in law enforcement. But what we're brushing over is the violence that's going on in our communities, that's hurting our communities right now, every single day as we speak. A lot of the people that suffer from this gun violence in our communities are the very people that want to keep police in the communities. And the reason they want to keep police in the communities is because they realize the dangers that they face every single day they go back to their homes. You see, unlike a lot of us, like myself included, where I get to go home to a nice neighborhood, a nice house, and shop in a nice, town, that's not the case for everybody. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that live in some rundown neighborhoods where people are taking over the neighborhoods because of the gang violence and the gun violence. And so the one thing I want you guys to hit on or realize when I make this video is that if you're going to go out there and say all these names of people that have been unjustifiably killed by police, which if we really talk about it, a lot of these situations were justified, we also need to go out there and say the names of these kids that were wrongfully killed by the members of their community that are involved in gangs. Every single one of these names that I mentioned today, I never saw any media ads for, I never saw any protests for, I never saw people walking the streets for. They were actually really just brushed over. I actually had to go out there and do a lot of research to find these kids when these kids should have been at the top of every headline that went out there. And so what I want to do is I want to leave you guys with this video that I saw recently trending on social media, because this impacted me on another level. You see, I'm a dad with 3 kids, 7, 5, and 2. And if anything happened to my children, I don't know what I would do. But unfortunately, there is something that happens to people's kids every single day. Jocelyn Adams is the last girl that I want to mention today. She was 7 years old. And she was recently shot over the weekend sitting in her car with her parents in a drive-thru because of a drive-by shooting. The police extracted her from the vehicle and did not wait for the ambulance. They took her in their police car straight to the hospital to try to get the treatment so that way she could survive, but unfortunately she didn't. And so the next time we go out there and say names, let's also make sure we keep some of these names in mind as well. Thanks again and God bless.
Damn. Like, we looking out the window, he real high. Press the unlock button. Press the unlock button. Press the unlock button. Press the unlock button. Hey, I can damn it. Press the unlock button. Unlock! Oh, shit, they killed the baby. Look. Oh, shit. Baby, shorty. Baby. Oh, shit, this fucked up on B. Oh, shit. That's a baby. They just killed the baby, shorty. They got her in the hospital right now.